Thank you so much, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys today and to build off everything that we've been talking about with change and the unknown. And as you can see by all of those crazy numbers, with all of the things that I've accomplished, I'm sort of a nerd. I'm sort of a secret nerd when it comes to trends, marketing, entrepreneurship. And there's two things that most people don't realize are going on all the time. There's shifts that are constantly happening. There's shifts on a global level, like the shifts that we've been seeing over the last 22 months, the way we work, the way we do business, the way we interact with each other. But then there's also these micro shifts that we're all experiencing every single day, like your micro shift here entering the University of Florida as a student. And the truth of the matter is, most of us, not a fan. We don't really like change. It's why we order the same things at restaurants. It's why we hang out with the same friends. It's why we drive in the same lane to work or to your internship every single day. You don't even know why you're driving in that lane, but that's the lane you drive in because that's the way that you go to work. It's a habit. That's what we really enjoy. But really, it's on the other side of that we really experience the big growth. So instead of thinking, oh, all this change, all this uncertainty, it's happening to me, all these shifts, what if instead, I'm a marketer at heart, we can instead rebrand that and say, what if these things are happening for me? What if these are all opportunities, these shifts, these changes, these unknowns? What if all of this could be for my benefit, for my enrichment? And when we start to get into that for me mindset, that's when the change really happens. And you might think, okay, well, I'm here, I'm at the University of Florida, this is for me to learn, for me to grow. And yes, that's true. And I would like to offer all the parents to put on some earmuffs, because in addition to, yes, you're here for learning, you're also here to unlearn. You're here to unlearn. You're here to reverse some of the thinking that has already gone inside of you because you're here to question. You're here to critically think. You're here to think differently than you were by some of these amazing professors and deans that are on stage today. You're here to unlearn and relearn to critically think in a brand new way. And you might say, oh, Kim, well, what does that actually mean? And I would say the easiest way I can tell you is to just channel a kindergartner. Right? Just like blank slate, kindergarten, we're learning from ground zero. And you would be saying, what the heck? I took all these tests. It took me so long to get here. I finally get here. What do you mean I have to throw it all away and go back to kindergarten? You don't have to throw it all away, but hear me out here. Because there's something in kindergarten, there's something that those 5-year-olds have captured and have so instinctively that we, everyone in this room, we don't have. Those 5-year-olds, they got us beat. And I'm gonna show you exactly why. I'm gonna utter a sentence right now that is going to strike fear into this entire auditorium. And if I was in a classroom full of 5-year-olds, it would strike nothing but excitement. Okay, are you ready? Can I get a volunteer? Ooh, I wish you could see what I'm seeing with all your faces. We have like a group here that's like sinking into their chairs, like how low can they go? We have some ladies in the back that are like, now's a great time to go to the bathroom because this crazy girl on stage is gonna call my name and I don't wanna go up there, right? We somehow have lost that opportunity to say, I volunteer. Yeah, I don't know what I'm volunteering for. You say that same question to a group full of 5-year-olds, they're like, I'm in. I don't know what I'm volunteering, I'm in. I don't know if I get to be the line leader. I don't know if I get to share first. I don't know if I'm the captain of snack time, but I'm there. We lost that. Somewhere between 5 and however old you are right now, that disappeared. And so what I would offer to you is really to say, you don't know what you're volunteering for. You don't know what you're showing up for. But on the other side of that, to say, I do know the answer. There is something there. I have a way that I think that I can make an opportunity for myself to channel some of that inner kindergartner that we've all sort of missed. That's not us anymore up there. He's cute, but that's not us. So how do we get there? You have to be brave enough to raise your hand. Be brave enough to say, I'm gonna step into this situation that feels a little uncomfortable, feels a little scary, but I'm gonna raise my hand anyway. And some of you might be saying, well, I'm totally brave enough to do that. I don't know what she's talking about. That's totally me. You know, I just didn't raise my hand here today because I don't want to go up on stage, or I don't like the sound of my voice. Okay, let's figure that out. So, show of hands, how many people would actively answer an unknown number? You guys. Are you telling the truth? I don't know about that. No, but you can see there's not a lot of us. An unknown number calls your phone. You're like, I don't know who that is. I'm not going to pick up because it could be somebody trying to sell something, or I don't know who's on the other end of that line. And so that happens to us every day. But I want to offer you a story that, as I started to think about how we channel that kindergarten atmosphere to really pick up to the unknown, quite literally to the unknown number. So a couple years ago, I'm working in Manhattan, I'm cutting out early, it's a Friday, it's a holiday weekend, I'm like, this is great, gonna head home, it's like 1 o'clock, and we had this little secret in the office where you could forward your work phone straight into your cell phone. Only problem with the little trick, the caller ID didn't transfer. So while you're at your desk, you can see, oh, it's Universal Music Group calling, it's Universal Pictures calling, but when it transfers to your cell phone, it just shows up as an unknown number. So when you do that trick, you gotta pick up all the unknown numbers. So I cut out, I make it down the elevator. I'm still in the building, I haven't even left yet. And my phone rings, and it's an unknown number. And I would normally, like so many of you, say, oh, it's an unknown number, I'm not gonna pick it up. But I couldn't do it this time, because I was like, could be a client. I might have to run back upstairs and take this call. So I pick up the call, and I proceed in the middle of Manhattan on 5th Avenue to almost drop my phone and collapse, because on the other end of that line is Mary J. Blige and her team. And I'm like, I thought Ashton Kutcher was pranking me somewhere. I was like, hello, hi, what? Her team's calling and saying, we heard about you, we'd love to work with you. We have a project that we think you could be great for in a couple months. I'm sitting there like, of course, yeah, this is great. We're wrapping up the call, and I was like, I just want to make sure that you guys have the right number. What number did you dial to get this? I'm thinking they're gonna say my office line, because that would be normal. Most people don't give out their cell phone number. And they list my cell phone number. And I was like, Miss Blige and team, feel free to call this number whenever you want. 2 a.m, I will answer. But just how'd you get the number? Because it's just like a little weird. And they said, oh yeah, no worries. No, we got it from Justin Bieber's team. We know that you had worked with him, and so they just kind of gave us your cell phone number, right? And you might say, well, Kim, that's such a fluke. That's such a fluke. You know, most of the time it's people trying to sell me something, and I would say that's true. A lot of times it is somebody probably trying to sell you something, but that day shook me so hard to my core that I was like, from now on, I pick up every unknown number. And you know what? It wasn't the only call I got like that, because a couple months later, I picked up a call from Macklemore, who had gotten my number from Logic. And for all the parents in the back, just know those are very cool people. You can ask your kids about it later, but these are very cool people. So just imagine like Ringo Starr gave your number to Paul McCartney. That's the level that we're working on here. So I say that to offer the fact that picking up that unknown, stepping into that unknown, raising your hand into the unknown is so important, because it's when you step in, when you get uncomfortable, when you put yourself in those situations that feel a little bit nerve-wracking, that's when the magic happens. And it especially happens, and we're all very guilty of this, I would say the biggest one on this list is not only when it's new, when it's intimidating, but also, and we heard it referenced a little bit, and we're terrible with this as adults, when we don't know who's going, right? That's always the first question. You say to a kindergartner, hey, there's a birthday party. Wanna go? Kid's like, I'm in. Cake, presents, piñata, candy, I'm in. Where are we going? I don't even care whose birthday party it is. Sign me up. Maybe I get a present. Maybe I get a tote bag. I don't know. You say, hey, wanna go to a birthday party to an adult? It's like, is there gonna be food? Who's going? What time is it at? Do I know other people that are gonna be there? And we've all done this. And you're gonna experience this a lot at the University of Florida. Someone's gonna say, hey, come to this office hours. Hey, come to this thing I'm volunteering at. Hey, come to this meetup that we're doing. This cool thing that me and some of the classmates are doing. And I encourage you that instead of judging who's going, that you embrace that unknown instead of the worthiness of, well, do I know anybody that's gonna be there? Do I know anybody that's gonna go? Because it's when you do that the opportunities are endless. Because a few years ago, I'm at home, I'm running a little late to get to the office, and I proceed to have one of the most amazing experiences. A friend invites me to breakfast. He's like, you gotta come to this breakfast. And I'm like, I'm running late, what? And he's like, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Come to this breakfast. So I say, okay. I go to the breakfast. Turns out I end up sitting next to somebody at the breakfast. She's like, oh man, I love what you're working on. My boss and I were just talking that we need to find someone that does exactly what you do. I'm so glad you randomly came to this breakfast. And 2 weeks later, I had done a presentation and ended up signing a contract, and her boss became my boss for the next 6 months, which is the best boss you could ever have in the world, Oprah, okay? Because I showed up to a breakfast meeting that I wasn't supposed to be at, that a random friend said, you should come. You should come. And I didn't ask questions. I didn't say, well, who's going? Well, what time's the breakfast? Well, where is it? Well, how am I gonna get there? You just show up. You show up because you don't know what opportunities are on the other side of the table. And honestly, at the end of the day, we've all heard this saying, right? Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. We've all heard that kind of age-old saying. But what they don't tell you is this little PS. In our very busy lives, if we don't make room for the opportunity, if we don't show up to that networking event, if we don't show up to that club meeting, then the luck never hits us. The luck never comes into place. We have to make room, we have to make space for that opportunity. Or else the opportunity, it can't access us. And there's gonna be so many opportunities and so many exciting events that you're gonna get to experience right here on campus. And right here with all these amazing professors and deans. But you have to show up. You have to show up and you have to raise your hand and you have to get involved. And the opportunities today, the opportunities are seated right beside you. Right here, there's opportunities seated right beside you. Because starting from today, your network becomes your net worth. Anyone has ever heard that saying? And it really does start exactly today. And you might be looking at each other and going, oh yeah, well this person's from engineering and this person's not in my college and I don't know, it doesn't seem like they would, offer me much because we're not in the same group. Not true. You never know. Because my mom, who's here today, shout out mom, she's worked in the school system for 30 years, okay? Started as a high school teacher, went to an assistant principal, all the things. If you told me that my mom, who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida, was going to get me a client in Manhattan working in entertainment and music, I would have said, you're crazy. You're great. How's my mom in West Palm Beach, Florida, gonna get me a client in entertainment in New York City? No way it's gonna happen. But my mom, a couple years ago, sitting with her CPA who helps her do the taxes, and she starts talking about her favorite subject, me. And I'm an only child, so I know I'm the favorite. And if anyone was concerned, it's me. And she's talking about me and her CPA, and she's, oh, Kim's in New York, and she works with all these music artists. And her CPA goes, no way. What a coinky-dink. My son lives in New Jersey. He also does some stuff with music people. We should just set them up for a little chat. And I won't address the parents, I'll address the kids. You guys have all gotten that text from mom that's like, I need you to call this person, thank your aunt, do this thing. So I get the text, okay, you gotta talk to this person. Fine, talk to your CPA's son. Okay, we get on the phone. Turns out we didn't know each other, but knew a couple people in common, seemed like a really nice guy, got to know each other a little bit. And I was like, yeah, if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. If I can ever do anything or you want to do something, great, we're in contact now. A couple months later, I get an email from him and he's like, hey Kim, I was just sitting with a client and they mentioned something and it sounds very similar to the work you do. So I don't know, it could be a fluke, but I think it's worth a call. So, okay, I get on the phone with him and his client, interesting. His client sounds pretty cool. And he's like, any chance you're gonna be in LA? Turns out I had a trip to LA 2 weeks later. I'm like, yeah, we'll meet up, we'll get coffee. We'll just see what happens. And that's how my mom helped me sign 5 Seconds of Summer. Because it turns out that manager managed the band and we ended up working together. And I say that story because it's not like my mom's going to Australia to sign these giant rock bands. It's not like my mom's hanging out in New York with movie stars. But I tell that story because you never know. You never know the opportunities that are seated right beside you. And it starts today. Those people in the seats beside you, it starts today. Because if anyone has ever gone on a long car trip and played the very wonderful 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, you know that you never know who's around you. Because you, in a couple years, could meet people here today, you connect with them on LinkedIn or maybe Snapchat or TikTok or whatever, and all of a sudden, in a couple years, there's a project you want to work on and you want to access somebody at Gold's Gym, and you write on LinkedIn or TikTok, hey, does anyone know anybody at Gold's Gym? And before you know it, that classmate who you thought had nothing to do with anything that you're doing, they say, Gold's Gym? That sounds familiar. I was just home for the holidays and somebody in my family was talking about it. And it turns out that their brother's girlfriend's dad works there. And then you get set up at Gold's Gym. And I say that story because it happens all the time. It happens all the time. If you show up and you embrace other people and other opportunities and other experiences that you might otherwise would have gone, I don't know if that's for me. I don't know if they're really of value, or if they can really be helpful to me. That starts today. That experience that you have starts today. And all the stories that I've told today can affect you right now with your fellow IA classmates. Because you might have noticed a commonality in all these stories. I'm curious if anyone figured out what that commonality is. The commonality is your reputation. Not just a Taylor Swift album, folks. Real thing. Okay, your reputation, because I like to remix this saying. It's really about when preparation and opportunity and reputation have a big old party. Because that luck, those lucky breaks, you're so lucky you get to work with Oprah, you're so lucky. Your reputation plays a big part in that. Because every single one of those people Googled me. They Googled me, they asked about me, they asked about people they know, and you'll notice that all of those stories that I told, they started with something like a friend of a friend, or a connection, or somebody that I knew. Because they always say your reputation precedes you, your Google precedes you. Your Google results will precede you and will continue to precede you in 2025 when you graduate. It only continues. And when I say that reputation is one of the most valuable things that you have, that no one considers how much it's worth until it's gone, because it can't be measured. You can't write a book and say, here's exactly what I'm gonna do with my reputation. You're existing in it all day, every day. And the best example I can give is if anyone has seen a cup of water, and you have this cup of water, and it's an empty cup of water. And then all of a sudden, drip, drop, these drops start going in the water, slowly but surely. And those drops are your everyday actions. It's the way you experience each other. It's the way you experience people on stage. It's the way you experience your schoolwork that you do. Those are all drops in the water. And you're going to experience here, just like I experience in everyday life, that there's going to be chances to kind of fudge the truth. Maybe cut a few corners. Maybe not tell that client, or not tell that boss, or not tell that professor, or not tell that classmate, or not tell that TA the whole truth. You're not lying, but it's not the exact way that it went down. And whenever that happens, I'm not saying that something cataclysmic happens, but it's like getting food coloring, and it's like little drops of food coloring being dripped slowly into that water. Drip, 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 very slowly. And if anyone has ever seen a cup of water with food coloring in it, you'll know it gets real murky real quick. It does not take much food coloring for that water to start to get really, really murky. And you also might realize that it's hard to clean that water. Not saying it's impossible, but it is hard to clean once you have already damaged your reputation, which is why that honor code that you did earlier is so important. Because with every food coloring drop, it gets harder and harder. And so when we think about these food coloring drops and we think about what we can do to really make sure that we're staying as most reputable as we can be, because we know it's only going to help us in the future, you have to ask yourself, what am I gonna do with my bowl? What is my bowl gonna look like 4 years from now, and 10 years from now, and 40 years from now? Because that's the building block that we're all working with. So one thing that we have that can never be measured is our reputation. And so if I can encourage one thing that for everybody to do is when you think about that kindergartner who keeps it real, your reputation's gonna keep it real. Whether you like it or not, whether it's good or bad, if you've ever been around a kindergartner and you're trying to shush them because they're going, why does he have big ears? And why does she have big feet? And you're like, you can't say that. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be your reputation. People are gonna say, I like him, but you might wanna watch him. I like her, but she cuts a few corners, right? Your reputation will precede you. And so when we think about that in conjunction with all the other kindergartner lessons that we have today, I'm excited for you to learn over the next couple years, and I'm also excited for you to unlearn those shy habits, those crouching habits, and to instead say, no, I'm here, and I'm ready to raise my hand wildly. I'm ready to volunteer for opportunities. I'm ready to get picked. I'm ready to critically think, to motivate myself and those around me. And I'm ready to be that reputable go-to source so I can stand on stage next year accepting an award for something that I've done. Those are going to be the secrets for how you succeed, is to really learn and unlearn all at once. And I'm so excited for no other reason than I get to stand up here and say, I knew all of them when. I knew all of them when they were just starting. And so I'm excited to open my arms to all of you new Gators and to count you as part of the Gator family and to connect with you and to continue connecting with you and helping one another, because as we've heard today, that is one of the best parts of the Gator Nation. So I'm excited to connect with all of you. I put that up there, but I'm the other Kim K on social media, so it'd be really easy to remember. So thank you guys so much.